Excellent. Well, it's great to have everyone here this morning. We appreciate you joining us for our panel. We have three very distinguished panelists this morning. They're going to tell us more about how they have integrated digital capabilities within their insurance ecosystem. So I'm Jake Sloan. I lead the insurance practice for Appian for North America. I'm joined here by my colleague, Gijsbert Cox, covering which part of the world?
EMEA, actually. So Europe, Middle East. Same role as Jake, industry lead for insurance, but we have to avoid travel, we have to split our work a bit.
That's right, that's right. So, and we're joined by three panelists, Andrada from Aviva France, so thank you, Franz from Aegon in the Netherlands, and Terry from Munich Re Americas. And so each of them will give you a perspective, all large global insurers, and how they've come to be with regard to their digital capabilities. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, Franz, to start us off with kind of talking about your journey.
Okay, yeah, let me take you along to our journey, which officially kicked off in 2017 till date. And I created a nice slide, but I will give more context because I started the journey actually before 2017, because there was a reason why we kicked off with Appian in the beginning of 2017. And it was mainly related to our ambitions, because as an insurer we also jumped on the train for digital transformation, and every time with full ambition and passion we try to create customer self-services, and they failed in ambition, because every time we wanted to do the stuff we wanted to do for the customer, we saw that legacy dictated what we could do at the time, and also missing capabilities to make more straight-through processing possible. And by understanding these points where we failed in that ambition, we selected, we searched for a BPM solution, because we saw that by having a BPM solution we were able to overcome this problem and to put like an orchestrator between what we wanted to do for the customer and the legacy we had, and the new systems also which were chosen in bank and mortgages, to make that possible. So this slide actually represents an important part, the target situation. Here we want to have Appian fully controlling the customer self-service process and only use workflow management for human labor where specific escalations or reviewing needs to be done by humans. And explicitly we have chosen to put a CX studio in front of the teams, which were excellent in building the proper user experience for our customers. And by creating those user experience, we kick off an Appian process, which does all the integrations, take care of decision rules, where we also use artificial intelligence. So actually, that was the starting point in where we were able to achieve more success in delivering the customer self-services we had in mind.
Perfect.
But now we are in 2019, so 2 years later. And now let me take you along in where we stand today, and the importance also of the partners we have in this journey. I have a next slide to show a little bit on what we have done, because we are now at 15 DevOps teams building Appian solutions in the entire Aegon organization in the Netherlands. But we didn't do it alone. So we had an important partner, which is Smart Rules, which took care of most of the first initiatives we had with Appian. And during that time, when we became more mature, we set up an Appian enablement center within the Netherlands, where I'm part of. One of my other colleagues, also here in the room, Boris, and also very important, we have one Appian consultant in the team, who was able to guide us and help us in doing the right things with the platform. Because you can do so much, so you can also do things wrong very quickly. And I think this model represents a part of the success where we are today, on how we use partners and also our own employees trained in Appian to help deliver on this success.
That's great.
Yeah.
And just to get a bit of a context feeling, how many applications have you got running on
We have
Appian,
35 business applications in production, but yeah, the word application could mean very big, but there are smaller ones and big ones. I think a very nice example for customer self-service is our mortgages department, which is very successful in delivering these customer services with plus 36 score on the NPS rating recently. And they actually won an Aegon award internally of the best initiative.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and Anke also explained that on Tuesday, obviously, like how you use that. And it's great to see that how you visualize that how Appian is part of your solutions architecture, together with a lot of other good technologies. And we will come back to that in the discussion. Okay. May we give an introduction of the next panel member? Terry, would you like to explain how you use Appian at Munich Re?
Surely, thank you. We started with Appian in 2018, and currently we have 3 applications in production, one I'm going to talk to you about today, but we literally have 15 or more in progress, getting ready to kick off now.
Wow.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is called the Reinsurance Underwriting Referral process, which was mainly an email before. So we didn't have workflow tracking, we didn't have mobile technology, we had limited reporting and limited monitoring. And we knew that even just that simple item to start with as our first application was something we could actually reuse business-wise. Everyone needs an approval and referral process. So with this, we took on the requirements of having something that would support the process, but make it transferable, make it mobile, make it easy to do. And so we really had that requirement and 6 objectives. And those were really, let me just make sure I cover all 6 here.
I think it's on the next slide, is it?
No, it's right there.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was to support the process, make everything transparent, really support all aspects of that process, the request for the referral, the approval, and keep it within the tool so we could track those, and really what those approvals were for. That way we knew what underwriting guidelines we kept bumping up against all the time, and whether we needed to change guidelines or change what we are actually bringing on business-wise. We don't want to keep asking for exceptions when we don't want to.
Exactly.
We really needed that mobile capability. These are probably the persons in our company that travel the most, the underwriters and their managers. So taking the time in between that we could get that referral processed really made us get business on the books faster. We wanted to achieve a consistent approach, and we really wanted to tie this in with our email and our records management capabilities. We also interface with our leading system to keep all those identifiers, names, etc., consistent through the application. You can see here on the last slide the components that we built into, again, a simple application, but we have a dashboard for referrals, the tasks, we have the audit history, comments available, etc. And it does deal with email notifications, so those on the road can actually still click in, approve it, and get things moving.
Do you think you're going to use the offline capability for this, or is it not needed?
Well, I would assume so. These folks are traveling on the time, so those hours they're up in the air that they can actually do it, and then it goes as soon as they get off the plane. That would be great.
That's great.
And could you tell briefly what kind of, is it for specific products or?
It's for our reinsurance division,
Right.
so property, casualty, a number of different business lines, but it's that division.
Yep.
But we totally took that on. I mean, even the meeting where the project was receiving approval, 3 other people at the table in different business units with different needs realized I can use that too. So it was immediately something we know we're going to take those components and just tweak them for the next business unit.
No, that's fantastic. And especially when you talk about their reuse, that especially becomes in very powerful, very quick as you look to scale out to the
Exactly.
groups. Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Great. Andrada, would you like to explain what you've done at Aviva France?
Of course. Hello, everybody. I'm in charge of intelligent automation innovation within the Aviva Group. I don't know if you are aware, Aviva is the biggest UK insurance company and servicing around 33 million clients, and France is the second market. So this is where I'm based. And Appian is one of the pillar technologies in Aviva since 2015. As you might know, we have, or not yet, but we have inherited a lot of different insurance companies all along the 300 years plus. Therefore, it's very complicated sometimes because we've also inherited different systems and different processes and different data client. So in 2015, we have started to create the Intelligent Contact Center, where we are actually orchestrating with Appian more than 20 different systems. And this is very interesting because we wanted to give a single overview of the customer in 360 data information. And the reason was not only the technology. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, very good to choose the right technology, but to give back the operations, the empathy that was really missing because they were too concentrated on how to manipulate 3 to 520 different systems. In 2017, I have brought in the new concept of the digital worker, meaning that I'm using Appian as the chef d'orchestre, as we say in French, an orchestrator. And behind that, I'm using APIs to give more dynamicity, or of course, RPA, Blue Prism in our case, or OCR, Kofax. And we are also looking as Aegon here and our colleague from Munich. We are looking into machine learning and AI technologies. So we are very happy to hear that these new objects are ready to be tested soon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you can go to the next one.
Yeah, I can.
A little bit that differentiates us in terms of approach is that one of the group signatures is system thinking. System thinking, it's pretty long to explain, but just to make it simple, what you have to take into account is never automate waste. In order to do it, it's simple. Just get back what's the purpose, why are we doing everything, and how to get that is through the right measures. And the measures sometimes internally were based on silos, on different kind of products and different kind of teams. So now we are looking to the client. The client is here somewhere, and we want to get from a vertical approach to a transversal approach. Appian as technology will help us, but in order to get there, we need to understand why are we doing through the right measures and through the right method. So this is a case study that maybe you can go to the next slide, that we have done in the funeral claims area. So you can see the before, it looks very, very colorful, let's say. Of course, to make it simple, 53 steps, about 25 people involved. We were having an end-to-end that could last until even 1 month of treatment. We were having less than 1% settle within day 0 and 5% within 3 days. These are very specific products. So I'm just focusing on that because when we talk insurance, the reason why we are having a job is because we are there when there is a problem and we are there to help you, technology or not. So in this case, it's very specific, very difficult moment in the lifetime of a person because somebody close died, and people that call us are the beneficiaries. So the first thing that we were asking them is, what's your contract number? Yeah, I know. There's no empathy. And why? Because the person on the phone had to listen to the contract number and manipulate 3 different systems. And okay, you might have heard already, or most of you must have like mainframe applications. And you know that even the keyboard from an AS400 is completely different from other applications. So there is a complete transcodification in the head of the operation and listening to the call and trying to be there. I'm really sorry for your father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Click, click, click.
Exactly.
Yeah.
F5, exactly.
F5.
F11 to go back. And control is enter. So all this study brought us like so many information that were actually not visible by even the person that were doing the process anymore. And the reason is that you must have heard all of us this. It's always been this way. But this always, well, what's always? So this is what we do. We try to understand, we bring together all the different people involved from operations, IT, audit, risk. We put them together and we try to rethink what's the purpose. So this team, they defined, when I die, I want Aviva to support my loved ones and pay my claim quickly and simply. So we created a single team because we had front office, back office. We transversalized the knowledge because everybody can do it until the end. From 53 steps, we go to 8 steps. We introduced email and an application to do directly the photos of the necessary documents and communicate live with the operations. And we have skipped the targets because operation people were paid in the number of calls received. So this also put a pressure on them to get rid of the call as soon as possible because of the end of the month there was less salary. So all this got only with just a method, without IT, 55% of the claims settled under 3 days, 11 day 0, and 30,000, so more than 50% of the calls reduced in the call center.
That's fantastic.
And on it, this is the big piece of work that we've done. If you go to the next slide, please. So we orchestrated with Appian all the workflow. So in the background system, 3 to 5 applications, Appian on top, and we are doing dynamicity with APIs and Blue Prism, the RPA part to really manipulate and update the systems, and the Kofax for the OCR. This will reduce by claim from an average of 45 minutes to 5 to 10 minutes through Appian. And we have also re-engineered the entire logic, because if you are using mainframe application, you know that you can only enter one client, one contract, and that's it. So in Appian, we could do multi-contract, multi-clients, multi-calculation, and temporize the information that we send to the background systems.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, thanks. It's a great example, and it has some parallels of what Malcolm Ross was explaining about putting the client first, and we'll get back to that, what you've done, and also I'd like to understand now the records concept and how you've used that. I'd like to open up the panel discussion with a few questions and to get a bit more information on what you've done. Maybe Frans, you can kick off if I ask you, what you see as the biggest operations IT challenges that you've faced in getting these applications live or installing Appian in your solutions architecture.
Well, I think it's very comparable to what Andrada was explaining, that you need to stop thinking about how we did it in the past and really think from scratch again. So if you're able to, for example, deliver a new process, I think that was perfectly explained this morning.
Yeah.
Think of how the customer should experience that process, design the process as the customer would like to experience it, and then decide on how to integrate with the various systems behind it to make the target situation on how the contract should be administered in the system of records or whatever. Let Appian handle that, but don't bother the customer how systems work in the way we deliver the process.
Right.
And for business, it's quite difficult because we have lots of legacy within Aegon, because we are a very old company. And for example, we have lots of workflow management systems in which businesses invested a lot of in the past. So they have processes which work for them. And when we introduced Appian as our target solution, you see the first questions they were asking, like, okay, but we have this in our workflow management system, where is that in Appian? And we said, no, you have to start thinking from scratch again. So if you have an ID, think of all the capabilities we have within Aegon, because in the past 3 years there are lots of capabilities we introduced and led to success. And think then how you could use those capabilities to deliver a perfect process for the customer. And now you see slowly those business units are rethinking, and mortgages was one of the examples I gave, which really had that mindset.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and if I can ask Terry, is that a situation at Munich Re as well? Can you? Lots of insurers have been around for a while, like Munich Re, Aegon, and also Aviva. That you struggle because most of the time we talk about all the nice insure tech and everything, but actually when you come back home or back in your office, the situation is slightly different.
It's a different reality, maybe.
Well, not only has the company been around a while, we have a lot of employees that have been mature there for a while as well. So having folks do the same thing because they've always done it for the last 10 or 15, 20, we have very common 30-year employees at the company. So having them change the way they do something is always a challenge. But when they want the change, that's when we feel we have the most success. When you can actually take the time, ask those business people, like, what do you hate doing every day? What is so repetitive? I know it only takes you 3 seconds because you've done it for 15 years, but is that what, those 3 entry places, is that really where you want to spend your time during the day? So actually my role is really to talk to them about process improvement, documenting the current state and making sure that's trainable and we can communicate that, but then really challenging them. And since I'm actually not in one of the business areas and I'm not in IT, I get to ask everybody I meet all day long, why? And that's, why, until I sound like a 2-year-old and I'm annoying, but that's the point. When they get frustrated and say, I don't know why, I've just always done it, that's your golden moment. So we've talked to them about the process. It's great when they come to us with a problem that they really are frustrated with something. But then it's really then taking that moment, seeing where we can utilize technology at that time to really deliver what our internal customers want. We deal more with, say, internal customers than external since it's a reinsurance company. But we deal with some of the small problems for one business unit, as well as one of my projects is going to be with a small unit, and the next one is going to be actually with our global claims. So we now have to take that process, not just standardize it for the 10 people in our area, but across the globe and try to get to an agreement where then we can bring technology.
Yeah,
no, that's great. No, and I was going to ask Andrade yesterday, you were sharing an example with me about how the end-to-end process, all the SLAs were green, yet the process holistically, and Terry was talking about process. Can you share, kind of that experience and then how the digital platform helped you kind of close those gaps?
Definitely, as I was explaining earlier, we are looking to the end-to-end overall understanding all these steps and taking, first of all, the value out. I mean, this is not something new. When you've done a little bit of process optimization, this is by default and enters even your daily life. You see some things that are completely, unnecessary. Just to add what Terry said earlier, we've done it as a statement. We've created the direction, system thinking, and intelligent automation at the same level as the IT department and the business. Just to do this statement, we are not IT, we are not business. We make you communicate, and we are the enablers, like an internal consultancy in a way, but also with the DevOps possibilities, because Appian, Blue Prism, Kofax and APIs a little bit outside, but especially the AI part, it's within our team. So we are doing this innovation showcase, and then we try to create this, let's say, governance around that, because this is kind of the new trend, and Appian again will be the piece of work that will be able to orchestrate. And again, what you announced also this conference this year, which is really interesting, is the possibility of really following up all these robots in the future. So for us and for the companies that start to really implement this more and more, and we are many, especially, I don't know exactly the American market, but in Europe it's something very, very spread now. We talk sometimes hundreds, thousands of robots. Appian to orchestrate this and have the whole overview, this is wonderful. And to come back to your question, yes, as for every process in general, if you just take parts of it, like your objects, for example, and you see everything is in green, but there's one that's blocking the entire end-to-end in terms of performance or whatever you want to, deduct from. Definitely, you need to take a wider look of
holistically.
Exactly, holistically.
No, that's great.
But can I come back to Terry for a moment? Is that it's also that come back to the people that work in a process like that, they are used to that, and they are almost skilled to put in the right codes in the AS400, and they think that's the way they serve their customer best, right? And they're right in thinking that, because that's what the quote gets out quickest. But then if you introduce a system like Appian, then that reality changes, right? And you have to, you almost have to lift them out of their work environment to get into that change, right? And to help them think about what the best process actually looks like. How do you do that? How do you lift them out? Because they're good people. They want to do the best thing, right? And
well, literally, there's been workshops where I tell them, let's pretend we have a magic wand. No money, no time, nothing's off the limit, out of the box. That we try to get them to think that way and dream that way, and then really, and you have me annoyingly asking them why they keep doing things the same way, challenging them to do it a different way. We try to get them to think that way. Luckily, say with the underwriting referral process, they knew they needed a better way to do it because they had no or very little reporting and metrics on that one problem. So they knew they needed a better way. And our IT guys are great in terms of coming with them with a very similar solution they may have done somewhere else to show them the possibilities, and actually working together. I think we partner quite well in that they're a bit more technical, but then I can lay another spin on it and get their imaginations.
That's great.
So we really do liaise well that way. As Andrea said, it's more of a consulting approach. We do try to be between the two and help them along. And really people, even if they've done something along the same lines every day, it doesn't take much when you point out to them that there's a better way and get their imaginations open, that they come along very quickly.
yeah, that's interesting. And magic wand seems to be a recurring theme at this conference.
That's right.
And maybe Frans, you can react on that. I mean, you're head of the Center of Enablement, as we said, at Aegon. Can you explain a bit about how the magic wand, is it perceived as a magic wand, and how is that changing the perspective of how change can be done using Appian?
Yeah, if I can give a personal opinion, I always dare to ask, who are you giving the magic wand? Because it's the wish of the person what to do with it. And that's what we also see within Aegon. We also invested heavily in the Blue Prism RPA capability. And we tried to put RPA close to the business, so let the business develop their own robots. But we also have BPM, but the business is not involved that much like we give Appian to the business. So it's more like technical skilled employees who do the integration with Appian. And what we see happening, and what I think should not be happening, but it's difficult to mark that point, is you can also build a process in Blue Prism which you can also build in Appian. So what do you let the robot process do compared to what you want to achieve with BPM? So at this point we are changing within Aegon the idea about automation, and we say you cannot see BPM and RPA as two separate things. They are really, really close together. So we now have set up together with Appian the first integration with Blue Prism, which we clearly marked as a robot should be only what we call auto-pop task, one time, one place, one person. That's what the robot should do and no more, and let Appian be the orchestrator above that.
Yeah. And so, Frans, to build on that, how do you remain flexible, kind of in that ecosystem? The next greatest AI is going to come out in chatbot. How does Appian help you facilitate that flexibility?
We have seen that lots of teams were successful. For example, also in the mortgages department, where they were experimenting with IBM Watson, and they were using IBM Watson to look at mortgages notary documents. And by using annotation, they were quickly able to let a new application for a mortgage be verified against the notary document without any human interaction. And before that, it was fully manual labor.
Wow.
And we integrated Appian with Blue Prism and let the process do its work based on the outcome of the IBM Watson
That's fantastic.
results. Yeah.
And that framework, then, that you stay flexible going forward, and as new technologies come along, you benefit from that.
Yeah, we also use R, and so we don't let one solution dictate the possibility. So if there are other possibilities which are really showing capabilities we want, we will use it, and of course integrate it with Appian as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's also in the vision of Anke, what she said, like to try to avoid spaghetti, isn't it? And let the technologies do what they're best at, and not build on it or expand the scope of it.
Yeah, it's the same as what's happening with RPA. You can do so much with one tool, but we clearly positioned every tool with its specific capability and try to integrate all these capabilities in an end-to-end solution.
Yeah, that's great. And is Terry or Andrade, we want to react on this flexibility question, which is, I think, key for insurers, because there's so much happening in the technology space, and the shiny thing of today might not be the shiny thing of next year.
But that's exactly why we needed a platform that can bring in different type of solutions and this capability in terms of adapting. As I was mentioning earlier, the digital worker concept came exactly in the combination of these technologies. We also had one level Appian building, one level Blue Prism building. And when I visited my colleagues in UK in 2017, they were doing orchestration with Blue Prism by sending Excel files to imaginary or technical Outlook email addresses. And I said, guys, there's a problem in here. We cannot do this, right? Because it's like scratching the other way around. So this is where Appian came in. And Appian is kind of the dream of having this kind of possibility, like leitmotif, and you just combine whatever you want, depending on what's the process end to end. Because sometimes you don't need RPA, sometimes you just need more dual synthesis, as you are doing maybe with Watson, to help the business user take better decisions. Or you can have APIs. So this is the good part, or OCR integrated. It depends on what you want to achieve at the end, yes? But from my experience with RPA, OCR, the two combined together, if you have documents, this is where the benefits are. And having them nicely arranged in a workflow that gives you the right information, where is the process standing, when it's finished, and even go further to put this in self-service within the customer space. Here you have.
Yeah, excellent.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Should we, Terry, go ahead, sorry.
Terry, you want to react on that?
We're trying to talk to the business more and not use the name of a tool.
Right.
We're actually just trying to say, what do you need to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about which one it is. That's my colleague back there, Jim's job. He'll figure out which one is the right one. We've got tools in our corporate tool set, and they've worked out which ones do what work best.
Yeah.
And so we really try to not use any name, or even I have to stop myself, as I'm not only that much technical, to say workflow. I'm trying to just say the system or the application.
Yeah, no, this is indeed, it's about the customer, right, and how
Yeah.
they get served. And it might be that RPA is used as a tactical solution for a temporary period, but you have to be bold enough to actually make sure it goes away and replaced by the proper solution, isn't it?
The intelligence. So, should we take questions from the audience?
Yeah, we only have 5 minutes
about
left,
5 minutes
I
left.
suppose, isn't it? Is there burning questions from the audience?
Here in the front. And if
There's
you could
a
please
mic.
state your name and who you're with, please. Thanks, John.
Yeah, hello, my name is Gerrit Thoms. It's from Smart Rules, one of the system integrators working with Appian, and 2 of your clients here sitting, so I'm glad to hear that. Great panel, by the way. Great, and it illustrates, in my opinion, one thing which I think is very important. You all seem to have a role within the company to get people thinking out of the box, get business and IT together, not being in business, not in IT, somewhere in between, bring these people together. Some clients of us are struggling with that, and I'm very interested in how you got there. And how is there someone who said there has to be someone like you, like a digital transformation ambassador. How did it work? Maybe very short from each of you.
I'll let somebody else go first.
I think we can all say the same answer at the same time.
I have been in the front with the business who had lots of ambitions with they drafted a very beautiful customer journey, and I was the first person to tell them, like, okay, I understand what you want, but it's not possible due to some kind of IT problems with legacy and stuff. And that was really difficult because they had great ideas, and actually now IT was tempering those ambitions. So that's why when we now see new ideas coming up, we try to support these ideas to make them possible, instead of, again, being the person saying it's not possible. And I think we have every capability now within Aegon to make it work.
That's good. Terry, Andrea?
I would say that in general it's 80% change, cultural change, and 20% project. You need to find people that believe a little bit in the ideas, that are pushers. You will hear 99.9% of no's. From the infrastructure teams to the business. Because, as you were mentioning earlier, especially in insurance, it's a population that really stays there for 20 years plus. So make them change, it's not that easy. So you just need to, be consistent. Start maybe by something a little bit not that complex, like I've done. So my learning, I started with this journey. I thought I would never see the end of the light, or the tunnel, how do you say it in English? And then, to equilibrate, I started with a little bit something smaller, like a complaints tool that was more simple in terms of orchestration. I put on 5 different systems, Appian on top, with the simpler screens, and got it out a little bit quicker. And they saw the light, and I saw the light. And then I started with some robotics and so on. So just equilibrate. When you do a big piece of work like that, with re-engineering and change, go also and do something where they can see immediately the results.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there one more question? Or Terry, did you want to comment? Yeah, please.
You go to the next one. If you
Yeah, is there another
I can
question?
talk
Am I able to squeeze one in? No?
Anyone?
Well, I have one more question. Is it because there is indeed always a gap between business and IT, and I hate when they say that, like that's business or that's IT. But you do hear from some of our customers that Appian helps if you can draw it and quickly show what it could look like. That you can bring those the business and IT together, and they are more receptive to what the challenges are from the IT side, and the challenge on the business side. Do you recognize that, or do you see that?
Oh, definitely. And once upon a time in a different life, I was a teacher, so illustrating something is always the best way for me to even make sure I'm hearing something correctly before I can pass it on to say to my IT colleagues what the business meant. I'm looking forward to using that analyst tool in the development tool to really start to visualize for both our customer or users and IT to be able to communicate together with them with that. Before in the past, it was a whiteboard or a flip chart paper, and once we both were on the same page as far as UI, I could draw a few things and get the idea across just as well. But again, we don't want to have the business dream up something that we have a very good IT team. They will always try to deliver, but sometimes I almost have to tell them, you have to say no. If it's going to take so much time and so much money, it's okay to say no. Mm-hmm. So it's bridging that gap between dreaming the impossible and wanting to deliver the impossible. Let's just get to what's good.
Yeah. No,
Excellent,
that
yes.
innovative culture starts at the top. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, I think we are out of time, but it's great to have you here with all different backgrounds, and it's great to hear that the challenges of insurance companies with legacy and be able to connect it all the good stuff that is happening in the insurtech space, and also do not forget the customer and all the process improvements that you do before you implement it in Appian and use it in an iterative fashion. So great, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I think there's also a call to action, which was asked to do, and there is a call to action, is that makes you maybe to reach out to your peers and industry leads to share this information from the insurance industry. So pick up the phone and share the knowledge and be successful in your implementation. So thanks very much.
Thank you.